Happy Monday, knitters. I'm Louise from Wildflower Wool, and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, welcome. And if you're a regular visitor, I'm so glad to have you back. Can you guys believe this is the last week of November? Next Monday will be November 3rd, and then we start into December. So my regular Monday videos are going to look a little different because this year I am super excited to take part in Vlogmas. I'm sure you guys must watch other people who do Vlogmas. So Vlogmas is doing a little short video every day the month of December. So I'm really excited to jump in and be able to do that. So I'm going to show you, so next week will be probably a little different because I'm going to just start right into Christmas things, showing you how I'm decorating for Christmas, what I'm knitting, some Christmas decorations, and just overall some Christmas fun for the month of December. So I'm really looking forward to that. So for today though, I will show you kind of a regular schedule of things. I have got 2 finished dishcloths, which I'm excited about. I am going to start doing some little porch drop-offs of some of these dishcloths so people can have them for the month of December. So I did 2 Super Simple Diamond Dishcloths out of, this was that Bernat Handicrafter. It was it's been in my stash for a while, so I'm sure this colorway has been discontinued. And it was Yuletide Twists. That's what the name of it was. So if you have any of it in your stash, this is how it knits up. Just fun, just Christmas colors. Now, which one I did, I think this was the first one I did, and it turned out a little bit smaller. So my tip for you today is, if you always say, you know, I always knit my diamond dishcloths to X number of stitches, just be careful if the yarn size is a little different. This yarn felt a little thinner, and a couple of people commented on that and said, does that look thinner? And you are absolutely right. It was a little thinner. So this, I usually go about 38 stitches, which I think is what I did here. I did 38, or I might have went 40. Now I've totally forgotten. Anyways, it still ended up okay, but a smidgen bit on the smaller size. And you know what else I did on this one? This one here, I really kind of noticed, like every time you finish that last corner on a Super Simple Diamond Dishcloth, I kind of thought to myself, yep, I do have the right one, that I'm like, I always kind of have to just kind of pull it around a little bit, right? And just to kind of get it so it's not quite so pointed and a little more rounder. And I thought to myself, you know what? Why do I keep having to just kind of fudge it a little bit? Why don't I try to fix that? Try to see if I could do something a little different. So I did. Dishcloth number 2. This one here, I went a little bigger. I added in 5 more stitches, and I'll show you just a tiny bit. Let's see here. So there, I went about 5 more stitches. So it just added, what, half an inch maybe to it. So it just feels like it's a little bit bigger. And where's my end corner? I think this is where I cast off. That looks a little more rounded, doesn't it? What I did, let me backtrack. What I've always done in the past, where's my end? I think right here. What I've done is I've worked up until I've worked my decrease. I knit one, I decrease, and I knit the rest of the stitches, and I have 5 stitches left. This is what I've done in the past. And then I turn it around, I knit 1, I knit 2 together, cast 1 off, knit 2 together, cast off, and it's finished. And I thought by going, because if you definitely go down, you start with 3 stitches. If you work till you only have 3, then it definitely gives you that really pointy look. So I had cut it back just to go into 5 stitches to kind of give it a more rounded look. But I thought, what happens if I play with it a little more? And what did I decide? There was my cast off edge. So this time I worked my way up until I got to 7 stitches. And I did the same thing. So I had 7 stitches. So I knit 1, I knit 2 together and cast off, I knit 2 together and cast that off, knit 2 together and cast that off. And it does give you a little more rounded corner, which I really like. So I am going to go over at some point and update my Super Simple Diamond pattern to 7 stitches. Now the only thing it does do is, because you have 7 stitches, it kind of does give you a little, I think I kind of fixed it well enough, but it does kind of give you a little gap here because you've got so many stitches that you're casting off. It, I know there's just like a little dip in the center, but you've got your cast off tail. So when I wove it in, I just kind of pulled the tail from one side to another just to kind of fill that little bit in. So I think I like this 100% better. So look at that. It's all about, you know, being adventurous and trying something. Even when you think you have it figured out, I guess you can always try something different, right? Because you never know unless you give it a try. So I'm really happy about this. So look at that. You what's the thing? I was going to say it's I was going to say you're never too old, but I don't want to use the never too old. It's like, it's never too late to learn something new. You can always improve on things, right? As you, I don't know, you knit more, you get more experienced. I don't know. Whatever. Anyways, so that was that. That was my exciting find. So I will, okay, you know what? I'll just carry on dishcloths. So that was those 2 dishcloths plus, sorry. Anyways, this ball and this little bit, this is what I had left over from that one ball. And I have another ball of this around somewhere. I put it in a very safe spot that I can't see at the moment. But anyways, I'm going to carry on and I'm going to knit another 3 or so dishcloths because I'm all about getting these balls knit and out of my stash because they've been there for so long. People might as well have them in their kitchen and enjoy them, or the bathroom. I think I might, anyways, I'll show you how I gift these, probably, well, I don't know, sometime in Vlogmas. But anyways, what was I saying? So this, anyway, new start dishcloth for this week. I've started again, Super Simple Diamond Dishcloth, and I'm going to work up again to those 7 stitches just to see that it wasn't a fluke the first time, and if it works fantastic this time, I'll update the pattern, and then you guys can all give it a whirl. Anyways, that's my excitement. This is my Christmas movie, well, all my knitting, why am I kidding myself? All my knitting right now is Christmas movie watching knitting, because that's what I do. When I come home from work, I just put on a Christmas movie, and I pick up my knitting, and I knit. So, super relaxing. It's going to make a fun, beautiful gift. I'm so excited because as we get closer and closer to Christmas, it is looking less and less and less. Pretty much like there's going to be no get-togethers for Christmas. So I think it's going to be even more important this year to do some little porch drop-offs, some safe social distance gift giving. Just to bring a little smile to people's faces. So that's what I'm hoping my dishcloths are going to do this year. So, oh, and last week I had asked you guys what you thought, you know, like, do you like doing, like, getting the big ball of yarn so you can knit all your dishcloths and you don't have little odd balls left to kind of mix and match and have all those ends to weave in? And most people said they liked getting the small balls, having the fun color changes, because it keeps your knitting exciting, right? And which I kind of thought was kind of funny because that's what I said, that's always what I've done. And now that I'm working on these 2 balls and just working my way through those 2 balls, I thought, isn't that kind of funny? Even though they're not the big ball, but it is still kind of that same premise that I'm just knitting the same color. And for this one, I'll just have to make 1 join because it's the same color and carry on. And I'm not tired of it yet, but I think it's because it's Christmas. And anyways, and plus I'm excited to get these 2 balls out of my stash. Because then the 2 ball bands will go in my ball band box because we are getting really, really close to taking a peek at the ball band box. Maybe that will be kind of between Christmas and New Year's, I guess, like December 30th or something. I will pull out the ball band box and we can take a look in there and see how full it's been over the year. Okay, what else did I work on? My seed stitch cowl. Okay, that's a bit of a tongue twister. I've got it finished. Well, almost finished. I just haven't sewn it up yet. But ta-da, look at that. And I don't have a ball band up here either. Boy, I'm not organized right now this morning, am I? This was that Noro yarn, and it started with a T, something I can't pronounce. Beautiful, beautiful yarn. This was the cotton and silk. I cast on 31 stitches, because if you cast on a odd number of stitches, you can just start every row, knit one, purl one, knit one, purl one, all the way to the end, turn it around and start the same, knit one, purl one, knit one, purl one. You can always start with a knit. If you cast on an even number of stitches, you don't always start with a knit. So that's a little seed stitch trick for you. So even if you think I don't know, you want 30 stitches, cast on 31 or 29, because then that way you can make it mindless knitting. Every row, starts with knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl. Anyways, so that was what I did. So I did 31 stitches. I did 31 stitches and I knit this way, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. My aim was to have it about 11 inches deep because I wanted it to be kind of slouchy and something that you could pull up. If you're outside walking and it's chilly, you can tuck your chin down and keep warm, because this was more about being warm than being, fashionable and having something that wrapped around. And anyways, so it ended up being about 10.5 inches. So I'm happy with that. Half an inch here or there. I'm not too, this is the right. Just looking to see where my tails were, because I did have to join this. Well, I had 2 50-gram balls, which knit, I don't know, to about, where did I have to join? Here. I almost got the length I was hoping for, and I had to join a second ball. So I had a tail, and I had 2 balls because I was holding the yarn double. I had at 2 points, there was a knot in the yarn, so I had to snip it. So I've got a couple of joins in here, which kind of annoys me, but what are you going to do? Anyways, I want some suggestions on how I should seam this. Seam, seed stitch. I started out and I thought, okay, I'll just do mattress stitch, because mattress stitch normally gives you a nice seamless look. And I thought, okay, I'll be fine with a little seam in the back. That's okay. But I don't know if it was too late at night when I was trying to do it, but trying to match up seed stitch, it came out muddled, and I didn't like how it looked. It looked, too muddled kind of thing for me along the seam, and I didn't like it. I just didn't like it. I didn't like it enough that I actually, I pulled it out. And I thought, okay, I'm going to do something different. So I don't know. I may try something just like a whip stitch, or what is really intriguing me, and I'm going to try this because I've never done it before, is a crocheted seam. I'm not even sure if that's exactly, I guess that's what you call it, is it? Has anybody done a crocheted seam? So of course I looked up a video on YouTube. It looks easy, even for somebody like me whose crocheting skills are a little a little what hit and miss, is that what I want to say? But it looks like with a crocheted seam, it is going to give me just like a solid V stitch, like a solid knit stitch down the back. And I think it looks clean. Like, it's not, obviously it's not going to match in with the seed stitch, But just the fact that it's going to be like one solid, bold, just like V's down the back, I thought it'll look neat and clean. It'll look like a seam, and I'm okay with that, because if I'd wanted it seamless, I would have knit it in the round. So I don't mind if you see where the seam is. I just want it to look neat and tidy. So I'm kind of excited about that. Maybe I'll actually just do a little video and pop it in next week's video on my attempt to crochet this seam. If, yeah, well, maybe I'll film it even if it goes well or if it doesn't, and see how it goes. So I'm guessing, though, the whole idea of getting that nice straight crocheted seam is going to depend on how neatly and evenly I put my hook in on either side. I mean, I'm guessing if I put my hook a little off kilter, my seam is going to kind of follow the off kilter thing. So I don't know. I'm going to give it a whirl anyways, because you don't know if you try, and if you don't try, right? And it's something I haven't done before, so I'm kind of excited to give it a whirl. So I will, and I will let you know how that goes. Oh, and I should tell you, I knit it. So I did, backtrack again. I had another thought. So I did 31 stitches across on a 6mm needle, because this was worsted doubled. And so it ended up being about 10.5 inches wide. And I knit it till about 25 or 25.5 inches is how far I went. Because, hopefully it's okay. Well, I'm going to take up a little bit, because this is what I wanted. It was kind of that fine line. And this is really kind of my prototype to kind of see what I like for lengthwise or circumference-wise. Here. I think it's going to be kind of interesting to see, because it'll pull in once I get it all seamed. I don't know. I don't want it too tight to feel like it's strangling, but I want it to be just about like this. I want it to be kind of sit on your chin kind of thing, as opposed to being like this. So I don't know. We'll see. I mean, a cowl is going to be wearable no matter what it is, right? But then I'll go from here and I'll decide, I'll make some changes and think, okay, maybe I need a little more, an inch more, an inch less, whatever. And then I'll just kind of keep going until I find my perfect dimensions that I love. And then I'll probably stick with it and knit a bazillion of them all like that. Okay. Ooh, this is an exciting one. Okay. This is another project that I worked on from, I guess this was last week's New Start. Okay. There's a whole story with this one too. Okay. Are you ready? Do you know which one this is? What will I show you first? Maybe I'll show you the balls. My red and white scarf. Okay. So now, I want to talk a little bit about this yarn. So I remember I wanted to do a candy cane scarf. So I pulled out, I had some red and white Red Heart Super Saver in my stash of Christmas ornament, like my Christmas crafting yarn, because I've never used this for an actual garment. I use this for pom-poms, and it works amazingly wonderful for pom-poms. And I thought, well, why do I need to go buy more red and white yarn when I have a lot of balls of it sitting right within eye view on this shelf over here? So I thought, you know what? I'm going to knit with it. So this is what I've got done so far. Look at this. Ta-da! So it is knit on the bias, so that's why it's got the slant to it. And I wanted it to look like a candy cane, which I'm really liking, because my stripes are starting to angle now. The more I get on the bias, my stripes. So it's really, I think it's really looking like a candy cane, isn't it? This is so fun to knit. So fun to knit. I have got 28 stitches. It is a worsted weight yarn, and my needles are a US 8, which I think is a 5mm. I always have a hard time. Can always remember a 4.5 millimeter is a US 7. And this is bigger, so it has to be a 5 millimeter. And this is what I've got. Now, knitting with this yarn, I'm going to say it is definitely not my favorite yarn to knit with. It, especially the white, when I pick up the ball of white, it has that squeaky feel to it. Like it kind of sends shivers down my spine like fingernails on a chalkboard. But I've gotten used to it. I'm a little embarrassed to say that at one point when I was way down here on my scarf, I actually seriously thought, I can't knit with this yarn. I'm going to have to go buy something nicer. And then I thought, oh my gosh, because I always think of myself as being a well-rounded knitter, right? I mean, I enjoy buying, you know, an expensive ball of yarn, treating myself to a beautiful hand-dyed ball of yarn. But I also love a really good sale at Michael's and buying, you know, some of the cheaper ends. So I kind of feel like I like to think that I buy and everything in between, right? I'm an equal opportunity yarn buyer. So I was a little disappointed in myself when I thought, oh my gosh, I don't know if I like this stuff. This is probably my least favorite yarn to knit. But I'm kind of getting used to it. As long as I don't know, it's just something about holding the ball that really, it kind of, oh, I just don't like the feel of it. But knit up, it is not so bad. And actually, and getting used, maybe it was because I was going from totally one extreme to the other. This is so super soft, cotton and silk, to a lower end acrylic yarn. So I don't know. But anyways, I'm sticking with it because you know what? I have it and the colors are nice. And I'm going to, yeah, I'm just going to carry on with it. So I think it's just, yeah, I really thought long and hard. Well, I still not even totally sure what I should say about this yarn because at one point, yeah, I mean, I don't want to say anything bad because I mean, the Red Heart Super Saver, I mean, they fill a great purpose, right? They provide really economical yarn, which I think is fantastic because at the end of the day, that's the most important thing is that everybody can afford to knit. So this is, and you know, and I think my advice out of all of this is definitely that saying of knit with the best you can afford. I think definitely applies here. Because would I run out again next year if I want a red and white scarf or an anything? This would not be on the top of my list to say, I'm going to run out and I can't wait to go buy some Super Saver. That you'll never hear me say. I'm pretty sure about that. But it does have great colors because that's how I ended up with it in the first place. Because I liked the shade of red. Because red is not my favorite color. So at Christmas time is the only time I really use red. And I like to have a specific color. And I found it in the Red Heart Super Saver as well as the green. I loved the green color they had. So this yarn, you know, it's good if, I don't even want to say it's good even if you're just starting out. Because even if you're just starting out, I would still recommend, you know, still buying the best you can afford. But you know what? If your budget is super, super tight and you desperately want yarn for a new project, this fits in the budget and they have some fun colors. So, you know, at the end of the day, like I said, the most important thing is that you're knitting, but I don't know. I don't know what else to say about it. Anyways, you know, it fits the bill. It's cheap, it's affordable, has good colors, and it's readily available, right? If you don't have a local yarn shop in your area, if you've got a Walmart or a Michael's, I'm sure this is what you can find this yarn pretty easy. So, you know, there's some pros and cons to it. And you know what? I think it's going to make a fun candy cane scarf that I want to wear, you know, hopefully in a couple of weeks. But then I look at these balls and I'm like, oh my gosh. See, this one doesn't feel so bad. This doesn't have that squeaky feeling. But the white does. Well, okay, maybe it doesn't right now. I don't know. Maybe it's all in my head. Anyways, look how much yarn I have left. This is either going to be a really big scarf, or I'm probably not going to have to use all this yarn, am I? I don't know. But the pattern is really, really fun to knit. 28 stitches, so there's an even number on here. And when I am working a right side row, I'm knitting one, I'm doing an increase, and knit front and back. And okay, let's go this way. Okay, I was looking at the tips. Don't worry about the tips of the needles. If we're here, if I was starting and going to work across my right side row, I knit one, and then I do a knit front and back, which, as you can see, is increasing this way. Then I work all the way, knit all the way across the row, and when I get to the end where it's slanting in, I work to my last 3 stitches. I work those 2 together, just do a knit 2 together, and work the end one. And then when I turn it around, I'm on the wrong side row. I am just knitting all the way across until I get to the end. So this scarf is going to be a prototype, and I'm not going to pull it out because I'm just going to keep going just the way it is now. But the edge is a little wonky here because I just kept playing around with that end stitch. I had started out last week, where was I? I was right about there. And I had shown you I had this much done. Excuse me. And I thought, well, I was just doing what I had normally done, which was just giving those yarns a twist and carrying up the side, the color that wasn't being used. And it does, I mean, you can just ever so slightly see it on the right side. You can kind of see it here. Kind of gives it like a ropey look along the edge. And I thought, well, it is what it is, right? You're carrying up a yarn, so you're going to kind of see it a little bit, right? Because you are carrying yarn. I don't know, you know, anyway, it's like seaming. You're seaming, so you're going to see a tiny bit of a seam, right? There's ways you can make it less noticeable, but it's still there because you're still doing it. Anyways, Katia had mentioned, she's like, well, have you ever thought when you get to the end of the row, working, because when you get to the end, where's my, oops, okay, I stopped on the wrong side. Okay. What I'll do when I work this white back across, when you get to that last stitch, you've got both your tails are at the end. And she's like, have you ever thought about just knitting that end stitch with 2 strands, and then it'll carry that working yarn up the side? And I thought, that's an interesting thought. I kind of like that idea. So I tried it. So Katia, you may have to give me some more detailed instructions on how you do it, if you do it, and how it works out for you. Because this is what I played around with. And you can kind of see it looks a little different. So this down here was where I was doing kind of my twists. And then here, from here up to here, I just knit the 2 together, kind of wherever the yarns were. Well, as I knit across, I was on the wrong side. So I would flip the one yarn to the other side so they would be together, and then I would knit. But it did, where am I here? But see, you could see it was okay if you were on the one time, because you'd be on the same color yarn, would be in the same color stripe. But once you got to the other colored stripe, it kind of showed through. And on the back side, there was kind of my ropey look of kind of catching it. And then it kind of gave you like these little bumps, which are fine. It's on the wrong side, but it just looked different. And I thought, do I like that? I wasn't so sure. So then I tried, where am I? Right here. See how here it looks like another little decorative edge, but the strands were a little loose. So either I didn't pull them tight enough, and I thought, okay, I kind of like that look. It looks decorative. And that was just bringing, what did I do there now? I think it was bringing my yarns. Oh, okay, backtrack. I think down here, I was swinging the yarn around to the front. The other way, I moved the yarn differently, and it gave it a different effect. And I was like, I'm like, I don't know if that's the way I like it either. So what I ended up doing up here is doing a little slip stitch. So basically doing a 1-stitch I-cord along here. And so what it does, I think, is it neatens up. You don't have that little blip of color along the edge. But what it does, because it makes it extra bulky, so you can tell exactly where I started doing it, because it made it a little wider. It kind of bumped it out a little bit. But if you started this right from the beginning of your project, you wouldn't have that problem. And it does make it a little thicker because you are knitting. It is double. You're knitting, I'm slipping. So when I work crossed the wrong side, so right now I'm set up, I'm going to knit across with this white yarn. So I will knit across this row with the white yarn. When I get to the very last stitch, which is two strands, I am going to bring my yarn to the front, which means to bring it to the back. And I'm going to slip this stitch. And then when I turn it around to work this, I'm going to knit it with both colors. Knit the double stitch with 2 colors, and then I increase in the next stitch. And that gives it a little I-cord edge. So it is it's hiding that blip of color, and it's giving it a fun edge look. So I don't know, out of all of that, what would you guys do? Would you, I don't know, either way you have to think a little bit, because you have to think to make sure you're moving your yarn and slipping that last stitch. But either way, if you're not going to knit that last stitch, if you're just going to twist the yarn, you have to remember to twist it. Otherwise you get a little, right there, you get a longer strand. I don't know. Is it like kind of that thing, like I like to say, pick your fiddly, which way do you want to fiddle around with, right? Anyways, so that is that. I'm going to carry on. I'm going to keep doing my slip stitch, and I don't know, do it, because at the end of the day, I don't know, I know this looks a little messy down here, but maybe I can wear it. I don't know. I'm just going to wear it and have fun with it, right? Maybe I can tie it so the other end just kind of covers here, or I'm just not going to worry about it, because this one's for me. It's a prototype. I'll always look at it and be like, oh, there's so many ways you can play with that edge stitch, right? I will have fond memories because I was knitting a Christmas movie as I was playing around with it, and whatever. And I'm on a time crunch. I don't have time to go back and knit this because I need it done so I can wear it. And I don't know, it's good enough. My other new start for this week is more Christmas yarn, and I'm doing a hat. Just following my Super Simple hat pattern, just basic hat, gonna let the yarn stripe. It is called, what is it called? Ivy and Cranberries. Now this again is what is this? This came from Michael's, and it was the only Christmas colored yarn they had left. Another very economical yarn, but this one is soft. This one feels really soft and nice. And I'm assuming it's 100% acrylic. I don't know if it has any nylon or anything in it. Oh, what is it? 100% acrylic, but this feels soft. So anyways, I'm going to give this a whirl and see how it knits up. And we can compare some of this more economical yarn to some of the more pricier yarns and see. New hat. Just going to let it stripe, do a 2x2 rib for a little bit, and then switch to stockinette, knit around, do the decreases on the top, and we'll have a Christmas hat. So that is it for today, everybody. I hope you've had a great week and a great weekend. I got lots of knitting done. I hope your Christmas knitting is in high gear and you are starting to get ready for the Christmas season. So I will see you back here next week, and happy knitting. Bye.